Everyone else, Thomas back at you with another video. And today I want to do a bit of a follow-up on the El Salvador Bitcoin situation. So I made a video a couple months ago discussing the fact that El Salvador was making a move to make Bitcoin its official currency. And essentially what that entails, any company or institution within the country that had the technology would have to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment by law. And so, as of yesterday, this law went public, and as a result, there was a crash in the crypto market. Now, I'm not sure if that's only stemming from this situation. I believe that there are many situations that caused it. However, this was a big reason behind that, as many citizens of El Salvador found that when they tried to use the crypto wallet, it was not working and had been taken offline by the government. And then there was other problems that came with that. And so crypto, especially Bitcoin, was taking a bit of a fall that day. And a lot of people, were trying to benefit from that by buying the dip. And some of them were successfully able to buy into it. Some of them were not. There was a whole situation surrounding that. The point that I want to make today is what this could mean for companies going forwards. So on Tom Zuzolo's channel, we did cover this a bit yesterday. We had a discussion about Bitcoin being used by companies. Now, Starbucks and McDonald's are two companies which have benefited from using Bitcoin thus far. Both of them have their stocks up. McDonald's up by like 1%, Starbucks up by almost 2%. I know these are very minute numbers for such big companies. They are still beneficial. And here's the thing that we need to look at. So in El Salvador, these companies are accepting Bitcoin. They're not accepting them anywhere else in the world as of right now. That is to my knowledge. Please let me know if I'm incorrect on that. So with that in mind, we have to consider what this means for the future of these companies. Is crypto getting involved in investments for these companies beneficial? And I'm just going to go and point out the obvious. When Tesla was deciding whether or not they were going to keep accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment for their cars. Now, they eventually dropped that for various reasons. I believe one of the biggest ones was just the instability and the problems with accepting crypto. But with smaller things like a McDonald's meal or a Starbucks drink, is it a more tangible way to pay? Does it make more sense? Now, paying a couple $1,000s for a car in crypto, I'm not sure if that makes sense. Paying $5, $10 with crypto, that might make a little bit more sense. And we're going to have to consider, what does this mean on the grand scheme of things? So right now it's only in El Salvador, and the option to pay with the US dollar is still available to these citizens. However, if they start implementing this, and they already have it implemented in the country, is it possible to expand it throughout the rest of the world? And most of you know, my opinion towards Bitcoin is somewhat negative. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like cryptocurrencies because of volatility, especially on large scale payments. But if they implement this into the country right now, since they're already using it, does it make sense to expand it to other countries, into other regions? Now, that would probably entail some other factors, especially the country which they're working in accepting it. As all of you know, the World Bank chose not to support El Salvador in this move to make Bitcoin the official currency. And so I think it's going to be very problematic for other nations to implement this, especially even if these corporations such as Starbucks and McDonald's try to accept them as payment. If they're not backed by the World Bank, it's going to be very difficult to get them to circulate throughout the country. And once again, I don't know if this is going to necessarily help or harm the situation that Bitcoin has with the volatility. Because if we think about it, most of the crypto in the world is owned by a few individuals or a few companies. That's usually what dictates the price. And so if we introduce more companies into it, will that make it more reflective of the actual stock market, or will that just keep things the same? Because it's going to be in these companies' best interest to keep these prices stable. I know Starbucks is going to want to continue to keep charging the same price for their drinks, the way McDonald's is going to want to keep charging the consistent price for their foods. They're not going to want this 1,000% percent inflation up and down across the road, where one day they have to charge one thing and one day they have to charge something else, and it's continuously changing. I think that also provides a lot of opportunities for lawsuits. You're going to have to put in very fine detail exactly what price range and volatility you're allowed to charge for. Because if you go and pay for one thing and then all of a sudden it's less, well, now you paid more for something that wasn't actually that price. So they're going to have to work around that as well. And though these are multi-million, billion-dollar companies, and they can definitely afford to pay off these things, it's not a profitable or sustainable business model, in my opinion. There's no reason for a company to adopt a policy that's going to have them in court every week. And so I'm curious to see exactly what they're going to do in order to make this work for them. They're already accepting it. They already have to, and they already have the crypto wallet. So the question remains, is it worth it for them to still expand on these, to push it into other regions, or is this going to be a one and done sort of deal? Now, I don't know exactly what to make of this. I see this going really one of two ways. Either they're going to drop it and El Salvador will have to resort back to the US dollar as its main currency, or these corporations are going to buy up Bitcoin. They're going to buy up a ton of it and they're going to hold it because they are going to want to keep those prices steady. That's how I see this going. And it makes the most sense to me. You know, these corporations are going to want to stay in these other countries, but if they don't have a stable currency to accept, there's no reason for them to stick around. There's no reason for them to continue accepting these things. They would probably be better pulling out of these countries or closing operations there in order to keep a profit. That's what they are. That's at the end of the day, is all these companies want is a profit. And no matter at what expense that comes to them. So, you know, we'll have to see exactly what happens. And we're going to be watching this very closely. Now, their stocks are up, so that is something to consider. And we also have to consider they might be making moves right now behind the scenes in order to make these situations more profitable to them. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether or not you think this is a good call on their part, whether or not you think these companies are going to keep accepting crypto, whether they're going to switch from Bitcoin to something else, or if they're going to give up on Bitcoin altogether. Let me know what you think. And as always, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see all of you guys again in the next video.